Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Hi, teammates. You made it here. I'm so happy. Come on in. It's 12 o'clock on the drop. You guys know what time it is. It's tea time. Let me know you're here, what you're drinking. I am drinking some turmeric tea. Let's see who's here with us. We're going to give everybody a minute to come into the tea room. Hey, William. And I'm glad you're here. There's a lot going on, and I hope everyone is just taking a midweek break and reflection just to connect in, ground down, and really just honor the self-care that's needed with all the chaos that's going on. So I'm going to take another minute and let folks get in before I officially get started. What are you drinking, William? Do you have your caramel tea? I have a super, super yummy show in store for you today, so I am really excited. Okay, come on into the room, and I'm going to get started here with our topic for today, which is limitation is an invitation to elevation. And of course, like I do, I wanted to talk to you guys about this. I was meditating and journaling this week, thinking about my self-imposed limitations, and then some that seemed to be external and outside of my control. And what came to mind was that it's all happening because it's being revealed to be healed. Okay, so all this stuff, the racial pus that's oozing out of America's skin collectively, maybe there's some pus in your own individual life, some negative energy or some thoughts that are restricting you and holding you back or holding myself back. Because y'all, I'm talking to myself. Y'all just have to be listening. But it's all coming up so that we can heal it and reveal it. And I love something that Rev Kev said, which is you can't heal it if you won't hear it. So right now, we are tuning our ears, the ear behind the ear, to really hear what's going on a global level and what's going on interpersonally. And that's why you're here with me today and my special guest to really look at that. The time of hiding is no more. We're done hiding. Just to bring it on a global context, we have images across the globe where symbols of slavery and oppression are actually being dismantled. And I believe this one is in the UK somewhere. And I'm inviting us all to look at our own symbols where we're putting ourselves in shackles mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and start to dismantle. And that's what this whole process and conversation is about today. And it's going to be juicy, y'all. So go ahead. Let me see. Got some comments. Hi, Linda. I see you. Good afternoon, Nathan. And Linda, I'm So Not Hollywood, thank you for the wonderful article that you did on Tina and I. Clarissa, you're here. Awesome. Okay, Karen, let's get back on task. Stay on task, stay on task. So my special guest, Tina Lifford, who I'm going to introduce properly in just a moment, has a fabulous book. And in reading her book, I was really starting to look at some of the lies that I tell myself. And what comes up for me in doing her work and doing this work is, who would I be if I didn't believe the lie? So I want to submit that to all of us, just as a framework, a context, because I think you're going to get the most out of this conversation if you really, put it front and center in your own lap, in your own life, and start looking at what is the lie that wants to be exposed, and who would you be without that lie? So if there's a lie that's telling me, Caryn, don't do MediTEAtions, nobody wants to hear that mess, it's too deep, because that's a little lie that I've had going on, then I'm stopped. But when I challenge that lie and I really look at it, then I become freed up to just step into my authentic self and share this moment with you all now, okay? So that's just one example. We're gonna peel back the layers of that a little more with Tina. Again, it's about dismantling the lie, and I think she is the queen of that and has so much wisdom and information for us about how to do that in our lives personally, and then how we can extend that to what's happening on a global level. Because I know it's rough, y'all. There's a lot going on. with all of us. So without further ado, let me go ahead and just get into the woman that we know, Miss Tina Lifford, who is known for being the leading lady as the single mother Joan Mosley in the critically acclaimed but short-lived comedy drama series South Central, and her recurring role as Renee Trussell in the NBC drama Parenthood. But I think we all know and love her as our beloved Auntie Vi, and owns critically acclaimed, Queen Sugar. What's great about Tina is that she not only is an actress and author, but she is the founder and creator of the Inner Fitness Project, which is Tina's well-being initiative with the mission of making inner fitness more accessible to human beings so that we can develop emotionally, spiritually, mentally in the same ways that we do physically, in some ways even more. So I'm excited to talk to her about that. And as I mentioned, I have Tina's book, The Little Book of Big Lies. There's so much going on, I can't even get out my mouth, which is phenomenal. I can't put it down. And I'm literally writing in each page. And there's just so much to unpack here with exercises and tools and tips to really get to the core of the lie that keeps us from stepping into our power. So with that said, and without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring Miss Tina Lifford onto the stream. Hi, Tina.
How are you?
I am outstanding. I'm so happy to see you and to be with you today. Thank you so much for being here with all of us.
It's such a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. And I have to ask you, what tea are you drinking, if you are drinking tea right now?
I am drinking tea, and I have my own little teapot to go with.
I love it.
And I'm drinking a combination of Chinese herbs and lemon. Yeah, I actually went to the acupuncturist yesterday, and I was having a sensitivity in my knee, and he connected the knee to the liver, and told me two important things: that the liver does not like sugar, and the liver loves citrus. And so for the next couple of days, I will be sipping on citrus teas and lemon, hot lemon and lime, so on and so forth.
I love that. I do that often, not as often as I should. And now that you've given that context for the health benefits, I think we can all take that on. I see we have a lot of comments here. Alexia is here. All good stuff. People are saying, hey, Aunt, bye.
Yeah, everybody knows that bye. Hi.
Hi. Carl Hilliard's here. So let's go ahead and dive in, Tina. I'm so inspired by the Inner Fitness Project, because there's an outer physical fitness movement that was started decades ago, and you actually took that and explained for the audience how that came about at a stop sign even, which
Thanks. So in 1934, Jack LaLanne brought or made the idea of exercise mainstream. He opened the first gym, and he started touting the benefits of physical fitness on one's overall wealth and well-being, or wealth. And at the time that he started talking about the importance of physical fitness in terms of health, the medical industry had not put those two pieces together. And yet there's not a single area of medicine today that does not recommend and lean into the benefits of physical health in regards to taking care of your body. Inner fitness is taking the same journey. We all have hurts, dramas, traumas, upsets, disappointments, and fears. And those fears impact our internal well-being.
Yes.
And so it only makes sense for us to begin to give the kind of time to our inner fitness that we have given to physical fitness. And we can expect the same kind of journey.
Yes.
Right? We can expect, not only can we expect the same kind of journey, we can also expect the same kind of challenges in the process.
I'm glad you bring that to the forefront. Absolutely. Just as we're fatigued or even lack the discipline in some regard to go to the gym all the time, there's a real inner knowing and commitment that has to come forth when we're committed to doing the inner work, to look at the traumas, to expose the lies, to dive into that. So share with us a little more about what the turning point was for you, where you started to make that connection.
Right. Well, my life has been committed to some level of what I called inward exploration, or the inward glance, for a very long time. It started in my 20s. And I think that it definitely is connected to my career choice. I was committed to being a respected, sought after, actress, working actress. That was my dream. And yet, in the 5th grade, I had this debilitating experience in the book, right?
Yeah, you talk about that in the book, which is really powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had this experience with stage fright that wound up truly being sort of a specter of failure. If I didn't figure that piece out, I would not be sitting here today. And so it truly aligns with your whole notion, that that the challenge really is here. You say it so eloquently. What you said that the limitation is meant to be the elevation.
Yeah, the limitation is basically the elevation, that it's inviting us to our next stage of development, basically. And when we frame it that way, then it becomes a pulling to and an expansion versus a constriction and contraction.
Exactly. That's so perfectly said. So my stage fright experience, it became a emotional loop and that lived in my life, and I never quite knew when it was going to poke its head up and cause dis-ease. And so what I did for a long period of time was and we do this where our challenges are concerned. We think that we can manage them with will, and so I strong-armed it for a long time, right? And then because my commitment truly is to be fully alive in this lifetime, and taking that into prayer and making that an intention, I discovered that the best way to live my life was to truly face that thing, and whatever it took, figure it out.
Yes.
And what it gave me, Caryn, what it gave me is not only the freedom to live my dream as an actress, it has landed me on the world stage in conversations about that very thing.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. I'm so moved and inspired by that, because you role model that for me. And I too have been a seeker. And when I'm feeling pain, as difficult it is, you have to dive into it, because whether you're conscious of it or not, it's still running you. You know what I mean? And you said something that I really like. I can't remember if I read it in your book, because there's so many nuggets of truth and wisdom in here. I think I may have highlighted like every page. I'm telling y'all, this book, because you give exercises, you give like real practical hands-on stuff. And that's, like I said in the beginning, where I came up like, well, if I didn't believe this lie, this distortion of truth, which I want to find that, because I think that's how you described it, in terms of dismantling the lie, is realizing that it's a distortion in the connection, that we are intimately and infinitely connected. And when there is an internalization of a belief that was placed upon you by a parent or a teacher or society, then much like a cell phone, when you can't hear, we're disconnected and there's a distortion. So we can't hear the guidance that's needed for our life. We can't hear the next steps that we need to take. We can't hear our divine purpose. And so your work to me really represents a healing balm and a way to really access it so we can move forward and push through and be who we were created to be, essentially.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
my take on it.
For sure. And I will add to your very eloquent and accurate statement.
Mm.
I will add that we can't see ourselves clearly.
Mm.
If
Mm-hmm.
you can't see yourself clearly, you cannot honor yourself appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
And so the importance of being able to see the lie is literally directly connected to your ability to see, appreciate, love, and transform yourself.
Mm. Mm. And Tina, let me ask you, because it feels like we're such in a ripe time to do that, that with all the distractions put away with the pandemic, the grand pause that we're all inside of, and now with what we're seeing at the forefront with George Floyd and countless others, how does this work on a global level? What's happening with the dismantling of lives globally? Can you speak to that for us?
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and it's very exciting from my vantage point.
Yeah.
Again, everything that I say can be applied to self,
Mm-hmm.
and self is just the microcosm of the bigger picture, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One of
Yes.
the things that I say in the book is that when we recognize that our experience is a reflection of a bigger social experience, shame
Okay.
and secrecy, right? Shame and secrecy are unnecessary and unhelpful. So, if we're talking about lies, one of the most important lies that we need to acknowledge, if you don't tell yourself the truth,
Mm-hmm.
you as a human being don't tell yourself the truth, there are a couple of things that happen. Number one, the knower inside of you knows that you're lying, whether you're conscious of it or not. There's a part of you that knows you are out of integrity with yourself. And when you are out of integrity with yourself, there's a part of you that ceases to trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And now you are navigating life, and we all navigate life through our own experience. So to the degree that you do not trust yourself, you certainly cannot trust others.
Mm-hmm.
And so the foundation of good human connecting is already distorted. It's already on shaky ground.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're entering these relationships without a personal integrity.
Yes.
A personal alignment, right?
Absolutely.
That's the first thing. So in this country, and I can't speak about the world, but I can give a historical context to this country, and even part of the beginning of the society.
Mm-hmm.
So in this country that we live in, the idea that one person is superior over another.
Come on now.
Is a lie that the soul is aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Because the soul isn't an individualized thing, right?
Yes.
The part of us that is connected to the all that is life.
Yes.
Or God.
Mm-hmm.
Part of us that has, I call that the infinite self.
Yes.
The infinite self holds the knowledge of all that we are, ever will be, can be. It holds all of the truth.
Yes.
And so if we are operating from the notion that one person is superior to another person,
Mm-hmm.
there is a fundamental lie there.
Yep.
And now that lie gets justified
Mm-hmm.
in lots of ways in order to live.
Yes.
Now, here's what's interesting about justification. You know, everyone listening knows what it feels like when you justify to win.
Okay.
When we do it, we may do it, but we all know that there's a little in it. There's a little, we give ourselves the permission to go on and, take that step and defend it inside of ourselves or to others.
Mm-hmm.
Aware that
Yeah.
the lie is being justified.
Yes.
Or that we are using the art of our tongue and ego's ability to reason and win.
Yes.
We're using that for self-serving reasons in this moment.
So I got to give you a yes, hunty on that one, because that is so much truth that just was generated from your space into our space right now. And I think that timbre and tone is what's reverberating across the globe right now, which is why you have Black people and brown people and all peoples coming together, because there has been a winning that has been rooted in inauthenticity, and we no longer are willing to participate in that. So yes to all of it.
Right.
I love that.
And part of the responsibility
Mm-hmm.
of those of us who have been on the losing end of the justification and the strategy, right? We have a responsibility, and there's no blame in this statement. But going forward, we have to know the importance of us being able to recognize the lie.
Yes.
And then do our work, as
Mm-hmm.
hard as that work might be, to distance ourselves from the lie and make ourselves Teflon to the lie.
Yes.
In the Little Book of Big Lies, there's a statement about what happens when we take on a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to just read that statement.
Oh, absolutely. By all means. Let me pause this. Get your full screen.
So no, it just says that the lie, once ingested, becomes part of us.
Yes.
We speak the lie, we think the lie, and we tell ourselves the lie whether we're conscious of it or not.
Yes.
So our work, and it's hard work, because
what page is that on, Tina, may I ask?
I actually don't know what page.
Okay, you know it because it's yours. That's fine. I want to start a book club, Breaking the Lie book club on MediTEAtions. But go ahead.
I actually think it is in my brother's, in the dedication at the very front of the book to my brother.
Okay.
I think that's where it is. Yeah,
okay.
because my brother, who died of a drug overdose, yes, it is. That's where it is. I just opened the book and that's where it is.
Okay.
It's at the dedication.
Okay.
So, our job is to begin to reclaim ourselves from this, this social, cultural, national lie. And in doing so, that we really have to start with a feeding of ourselves.
Yes.
That actually allows us to accept a better and more true notion of who we are.
And that's the invitation.
Right.
That's the invitation that I was talking about. And my question for all of us on here is, what is the next step in your personal evolution? And I think when we ask that on an individual level and clear up the distortion so that we can hear the information and the wisdom that's already packed inside, like you said, Tina, it's already here. Then we are elevated, because life is forever moving forward, and we are part of that energy, all that there is. And I love that you're giving us a framework with this book. And if you guys don't have it, check it out. We got tons of comments, Tina, so I'm gonna get to you. I'm sorry. We're just having a good old time. What did James say? James says, I want an autographed copy of the book. Well, make sure you get the book, James, and do the deep inner work that Tina is discussing. And Craig Ross Jr. is asking a question. I don't know if you can see this, Tina, but let's dissect this. How do you think supremacists who do unspeakable things like Derek Chauvin sleep at night? Have they not dismantled their lies, or are they living their truth? That's a very powerful and poignant question.
Yeah. So it's a great question. Mm-hmm. And the first thought that comes to my mind is, I talk about it in the book, but I have come up with a frame, a way of seeing that helps me navigate everything. And that frame of seeing came, because I was yearning for it. For a long time, years, I was just asking the infinite, what I now call infinite self, God, what's the answer to some of the conundrums, like, how can I be confident in so many areas of my life and then be so distorted and deconstructed in another area? What is that? And how can I resolve that? So I had a lot of questions, and I had a dream one night. And in that dream, I'm walking along a beach. It's an overcast day. Up ahead, there are two women arguing. As I get closer to as I'm walking up the beach, getting closer to the women, one woman who has her back to the ocean, I see that she's really the one arguing. And she's just flailing her arms and everything. And then the woman that she's arguing with has this incredible, compelling poise to her. I mean, there was something so compelling about her that, as I'm walking up the beach, the flailing woman, she starts to get louder and louder, and I can tell she's trying to attract my attention. But my attention actually goes towards the compelling woman. And I get right up to them. And the compelling woman steps forward. She's facing the ocean. She's facing the flailing woman. She steps forward to the flailing woman, and she wraps her arms around her. And after a beat, they both turn and look at me.
Wow.
And I was both of those women.
Wow.
So when I woke up, I realized that inside of us, operating daily, moment to moment, we are going in and out of these three selves. And I named these selves.
Yes.
I named them the surviving self. That's the self that is always flailing its arms. Nothing is ever good enough. It's always at war, always ready for that fight, flight, or freeze, that is part of the survival mechanism. It thinks in terms of something being wrong and people being against it.
Yes.
The thriving self, really important, is actually the self that was moving up the beach. That's always in motion, moving forward, committed to growth.
Yes.
Everything in its path to grow and expand. It leads with hope, opportunity, hope, optimism, curiosity, love, freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And the infinite self is that birthless, deathless part of ourselves that
Yes.
is indeed the all-knowing, the very ashes from which our lives come. And that self is like clay. You can mold it into 1,000 different shapes, but it always is the profound moldable clay that it is. That's the infinite self. And so when I think about the gentleman, the man that was so disconnected from him, so in his own survival, and survival is not a money thing. Be expressed as money, but trying to survive your identity, the way in which things have always been, in which you get your self-esteem.
Yes.
Surviving our need to be, because underneath that need there is a sense of not being.
Yes.
Nothing more destructive than that kind of surviving.
I just had a thought that flew out of my head, but there's a comment from James that I think is poignant, and he's saying, what if you overcome the voices of others, yet you continue to be your own worst enemy? And before you address that, Tina, I think it's coming back to what you were talking about, that Siobhan, I think that's the officer's name.
I don't want to know his name.
I heard that. I heard that. Just keep it real, y'all. I heard that.
He is a non-entity to me.
A non-factor. That's real. So that said, is it taking it too far? Because I think in terms of symbolism and metaphors, and y'all chime in too, and don't come for me if you don't like what I have to say. Is it taking it too far to look at internally, will we do that ourselves?
That's the whole.
Where we metaphorically put our knee on the necks of other people, and where we do that to our own selves.
That's the whole.
Okay. All right. Well, okay.
And I say that because it's really easy to not see self if you're constantly looking at and judging what's outside of you.
Absolutely.
But we really are, as I said, when we begin to see that our own experience is a reflection of a greater social experience, and secrecy are unnecessary and unhelpful.
Yeah.
And we all, because we're only now beginning to learn that we can use our minds better.
Yes.
Because we're just now learning that we can use our minds better, there's a lot of wrong-minded ways that become habits.
Yes.
So I want to address James's question. What if you have overcome the voices of others, yet you continue to be your own worst enemy? And it's a powerful, powerful question. And in the little book of Big Lies, I really feel like every chapter addresses that, James. But two chapters in particular. One is the chapter about sacred torture, and the other is I thought I was done with this, So, and this is such in alignment with your invitation for elevation. Yeah. What we don't know, what we haven't known up until now, is that to heal it, you have to see it,
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
you have to go down the road, go through the process of responding to it differently this time.
Yes. Yes.
And so what happens is, because it's uncomfortable, people don't even want to see it. So there's a whole bunch of time and energy put in avoidance.
Exactly.
And then when the avoidance gets to be so much that it literally fatigues you,
Mm-hmm.
and you start to work on it, whatever it is, then what happens is you get the concepts, and you when you hear the concepts, your heart goes yes,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes so much sense. And literally in that moment, you have the revelation and the transformation. It happens like that.
Yes.
But you can't hold on to it.
Mm-hmm.
That that transformation and revelation is the seed, the carrot that
Mm-hmm.
you are now to follow
Yes.
until the process actually delivers a revelation that you can own and hold on to.
Yeah, that will come in a language that you know and understand because it's very specific to you. And what I'm hearing you say, Tina, is that there's got the willingness opens up the space for the consciousness. That there, once you make that choice to hear it, then it will pull you to reveal what needs to be healed. Am I getting that right? Because that's what I'm taking from it.
Yes. And I'm saying that that's a process. And
Yes.
I'm saying that the very thing that you are trying to heal must
Mm.
revisit your life
Mm.
time and time again,
Mm-hmm.
so that each time it comes around, your deepened level of consciousness
Mm-hmm.
sit at
Mm-hmm.
a higher level
Yes.
until,
Mm-hmm.
until it is transformed.
That's the invitation. And I love that. You talked something that really resonated with me. You talked about growing up and this concept of too much. And that was a lie that you internalized. And that's a lie that I also worked through and struggle with. And one of your chat, I forget which one, because I've kind of bounced all over. You talk about the truth in your inner fitness because she gives exercises at the end of the book where you get to choose what you dwell on. And I get it. Sometimes it's easier said than done. And just to James's point, I have found that sometimes the enemy is the enemy. It's not something external. It's the talk. And Tina, you referred to it as the negative loop thought cycle. I think you call it that in the book. And it's really stopping it mid thought and catching it and arresting it and being so conscious and vigilant. And what I love about what you shared in the book, Tina, is even taking everyday activities like being at a stop sign to actually take a moment to stop at a stop sign, literally to breathe and to reflect. And I love stuff like that. And obviously I'm not done with the book, but you give practical tools to incorporate so that we can manage what you're talking about, James, because we all go through it. We've got some more questions and comments. So feel free to chime in.
Like I'd love to, if it's okay.
Of course.
The enemy within.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't believe that there's an enemy within.
Mm.
I believe that there is ignorance, not knowing, uneducated,
Mm-hmm.
unrevealed.
Yes.
And as we get better information, we
Mm-hmm.
get to make better choices.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's important to, I'm not into the dark side and all of that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because who we are that person for good reasons up until now.
Mm-hmm.
And you would not take your child and vilify your child for choices that
Yes.
are just beyond his level of understanding, education or whatever. You work
Mm-hmm.
with that child and make sure that he gets better information, because as the information expands him, and our primary responsibility to life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Life
Mm-hmm.
to God is to grow.
Yes.
If we are growing, then that has made room for us, this magnificent thing called life gets to move through us more.
Yes.
That's the agreement.
Yes.
And so there is nothing working against us. There's no enemy inside.
Got it. Got
There's
it.
lack
Got it.
of information.
And I can appreciate that. Thank you for that context, because I certainly don't want my words to be misaligned. And I'm more in agreement and alignment with what you're saying. And again, I think in metaphors and symbolism, so there's no fundamental fault or anything wrong with me. And I agree with you, or any of us for that matter. So the enemy is the lie. So I'm using the term in quotes, but just for point of clarification, I love what you said. You said it much more eloquently and powerfully, because I think it's important to have that context. Because if we approach it from the stance that there's something wrong with me, then I believe you could never open up to the full flowering of who you are, because you're starting with the question that's already rooted in falsehood. So we have to come back to the truth in the beginning, which is actually we're whole, perfect, and complete as we are. Start there, and then remove the barriers to everything that's blocking that. Much like the sunlight coming through with the shades, we have to open it up so the sunlight of consciousness can be revealed, and we step into the truth of who we are. So thank you for that. And giving me an opportunity to to address that. Thank you, Nicole, for chiming in from New Jersey. Let's see who the infinite self knows. Yes, absolutely. I believe that. Linda's here. Who else is there? Alexia, thank you for being here, boo. Any other questions? Hi, Lauren, you made it. Let's go ahead while we have the time, because before we sign off, we've got a couple more minutes. I want to make sure that we get to some of the great stuff that you have for us, Tina, in terms of inner fitness and tools. And we have another question from Nicole. Says, yes, when I was parenting my little ones, they would tattle on one another, but I often asked them what they were doing. What part do you play in the incident? Giving children a way to look inward. Oh, that's interesting. So how do we begin to teach our young children these qualities and these principles?
Yeah, well, that's what the work of the Inner Fitness Project is all about. And so I'll share with you 3 ways that I can share with your community, ways to make that more of a practice in your life, and an intention in your life, the way in which you have up until now dealt with diet and exercise considerations where your physical fitness is concerned. Not first and foremost, but every Wednesday, that means tonight actually, at 6 p.m. Pacific, we do a Wellness Wednesday. And that is an open forum where people show up. It's on the Zoom platform. You can register at my website at events. And my website is www.tinalifford.com.
And I have it here too.
It's a beautiful community. It is non-compulsory sharing. So you share if you want, but every single person's share winds up being balm and healing for the entire community. So that's something that I offer. For now, it is free. So check it out. Come tonight if you like. That's one thing. Number 2 is once a month, and this month, June 14th, I offer a experience of what it means, of what an inner fitness workout is. You know what a physical fitness workout is? You have a yoga mat and a physical, or a workout mat, physical fitness environment. In inner fitness environment, you have your journal, and we help you to walk through ways of taking that inward glance that helps you to align with yourself in more and more deep and honest ways, ways that allow you to move the lies out of the way and embrace your possibilities. So that's happening on the 14th. In order for you to have that free experience, you can go to the website and use the promotional code THRIVE, THRIVE. You see it up there in the left-hand corner. And it's an experience that will add value to your life. And then, you know, the Little Book of Big Lies was written with everything that you have said about the book is the reason that I wrote the book. I wrote it because when I was trying to figure it out for myself, there wasn't a book that was plain and clear and gave me steps at the end of every single chapter that I could apply and get benefit from. And so the Little Book of Big Lies, it is not just a one-read book. It's a book that you go over and over and over again.
Get your pen and your highlighters out. It's a deep dive into yourself. And that's what I loved about you, Tina, and you can find this on your website, about being fully alive, that there is no greater purpose than to gauge the journey back to yourself. And that that just hits me in my sweet spot, because I believe that fundamentally. I think we all do on some level, and certainly those on the in the tea room with us right now. I want to make sure I'm getting some more comments while I have it. So you guys,
it's the best, most effective way to change the world.
I agree. Absolutely. And I think the invitation right now for all of us with all that's going on is for us to do the inner work that's necessary, because you can only learn wrong from others. I'm not sure what that means, Nathan, so go ahead and drop another comment so you can clarify that. Kevin Rich says, Kevin Ross. Oh, Rev Kev, there you are. This is so rich. Survival is the conscious or mostly unconscious choice to live. I'm not sure what you're saying here, hells rather than braving unknown hell. Oh, okay. I had to take a minute with that one to slow down and read that slowly. Kevin Ross, as you know, was our guest last week and had a lot to offer and share. What else can we do, Tina? And you guys, you got the information on Wednesday tonight and also Sunday for the practices. I actually a few years ago had an opportunity, and you don't know this, Tina, or maybe you do. We spoke, and this is before you were on Queen Sugar. And you said that you got very intentional about your life. You gave me that nugget, that you were very intentional about the type of projects that you wanted to do, the type of heaven that I think Rev Kev is describing, and you were writing it. So what's wonderful about your inner fitness and the things that are happening tonight and on Wednesday is that you are getting on the mat with the journal and doing that inner work to actually script out, if you will, the life that you envision in the world that we envision. And that always stuck with me when you shared that piece with me. Just thought you should know that.
Thank you. It says that I'm living life on purpose.
Yes.
I'd love to share just a little quick inner fitness practice.
Yes.
That you all can walk away with and use from now until you take your last breath. What the Little Book of Big Lies really addresses is those lies, those hurts that get sort of stuck inside, or just those limitations that get stuck inside. We might not even really see them as hurts, but we wind up having things that we feel like we just have to live with, because everything that we have tried up until now to sort of dismantle it or be free of it hasn't worked. And so we have resigned ourselves to just managing whatever that stuck place is. And regarding that stuck place and places that aren't that stuck, from this point forward, I invite you to use the two phrases up until now and this point forward. Because They're powerful, and they allow power to flow into your life. And so the way you use up until now and from this point forward is when you are in the midst of a conversation with yourself or someone else and you stumble across or you land on that habitual feeling, that habitual response, that habitual whatever, you stop yourself in the middle of that habit, in the middle. You stop yourself and you interrupt the habit by saying, up until now, that's how it's been.
Yes.
Up until now, that's what I thought. Up until now, that's how I've responded. Up until now, that's how I've been. But from this point forward, it can change. It can be better. And when you say that, if you say that to yourself right this moment, I guarantee you, you will experience a opening, a sense of possibility. It might be a tiny sense of possibility, but that possibility is the very doorway through which your entire life can change. So up until now, this has been my experience. But from this point forward, it can change.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's really powerful.
That's the invitation. And in doing that, just keeping with the theme, much how we invite someone to our home or to a party, we're extending an opening for them to come in. And so when you use the language up until now or from this point forward, then you are expanding and creating an opening for something new to be present in your life. That it doesn't have a historical reference and it isn't biographical and has nothing to do with the past, but it's new and emerging presently in this moment. So I really, really appreciate that. All right, T. Bates. So we have to use that up until now and from this point forward. So up until now, I may not have had the money to purchase this, or up until now, I may not have had the soulmate or the love that I want. But from this point forward, I am free, abundant, prosperous, and able to buy everything I want using my mom's oath of manifestation. Mom, I'm going to have you on here next. Reverend Shell's oath of manifestation. And from this point forward, those are such powerful words. I'm really appreciating this. We got tons of comments coming in. So.
I'm going to say that a lot of times, you know, with affirmations, people claim things with their mouths that they don't really believe with their hearts. And so that creates a log jam in the brain. So as powerful as affirmations are, when it comes to the stuff that is really sticky, instead of leaping for an affirmation that you don't yet believe because this thing has been so challenging, just as powerful to say it can be better. It can change. Then you allow the infinite self, the all-knowing parts of you, actually create the doorways that move you into belief.
Yes. Sorry, my pit bull gave you an amen. He agrees with that. You know, animals know they have that wisdom. Okay, boo-boo. So down. He said yes.
Right on, right on.
Right on. I love it. Rev Kev is saying so true. My mother-in-law was on here. Gigi Gelfilton Ross said, amen. You're right, because we can't do a spiritual bypass. And, well, you know, I'm actually in two minds of that. And I think it's in tandem with what you're saying, because I think we have to honor what's real and true. And if it ain't moving, it's there for a reason. There's more growth. There's more invitation. There's more to mine. And I'm recognizing personally, Tina, that when I change my talk path and I really interrupt, like you were saying, and repeat what I desire to have happen as opposed to what is happening, there is an internal shift that can happen. So I think all of us have to find kind of our own North Star with that. But I love that you bring up that we can't just talk it away. We got to really do the inner work, basically.
Yeah. What I heard in what you just said, because I'm in agreement with that, is that in order for us to rewrite the old history, we have to focus on what we want, not what we don't want. And in that way, affirmations are really powerful. And when it comes to interrupting and challenging the things that have been a part of your life so long that you don't really have a bunch of belief around it, don't try and make huge leaps because there's already doubt inside. Just let it be better.
Yes.
Just,
I love that.
Change.
It should be better. Yes.
Yeah.
A willingness. What do you guys have to say about? I mean, we're getting a lot of comments here. Lauren said, "Yes, ma'am. Just ordered your book from Amazon. Can't wait to get it." Oh, you are in for a treat, Lauren. Let me know what tea you're drinking with it, because you gotta pull up your tea and get your book and your journal. We're gonna be, we have a whole inner fitness movement happening because of you, Tina, and I'm happy to help facilitate that in some way. We all are here to do that. Let's see now.
I appreciate that, and because that's the reason the book was written. If you read the book and you get value from the book, recommend the book to someone whose life you think can benefit from it.
I love that. Are there any other questions or comments? Alexia said, "Just let it be better." Waved my hand. Yes. Yeah, there's something very freeing about that. It's like an exhale. Just let it be better.
Yeah.
Because then it can show up in ways that you can't figure out.
That's right. Because, in our doing society, quite often our affirmations are part of us, proving that we are getting it done, Underneath can have a surviving self quality. Right? If we are Americans are, we're doers. We're not beaters. And so the more one begins to give consideration to the energy of the surviving self, we will be able to see when the surviving self shows up looking like it's trying to take us somewhere, looking like it's thriving, but underneath it is, it's on that treadmill. It's on that sense of desperation. It's on that trying to prove something to the world. All of that is fine, but understand it and see it for what it is.
I love that. Now, it's changing a bit here with Caryn Spears, and I want to give space because true to what you're saying is allowing it to come forth. We're not in the business of suppressing and repressing and making stuff not be there. Let's deal with what is. I think that's where we are. So I think Caryn Spears, I think I'm saying your name right, is saying something, and I'm not sure who this person is. Thoughts on Kimberly Jones' post and comparing Black folks' economic deficit to monopoly. I don't have any context for that. I don't know if you do. So if you want to drop another comment and let me know, as long as we're respectful, I'm fine with diving in because that's what this is about. Let's go in. Let's meditate on it. Get some truth and some knowledge about it. Nathan said it can be difficult to know your lie, then accept it when it gets exposed. I think I understand what you're saying, Nathan. Like it's difficult to know what it is, and then once you see it, accepting it. So how do we frame that up?
It's really simple. If in fact you want to be better, in whatever way that means to you in your life, and the lie is standing in the way, then just ask to see the lie and let it move you forward. Up until now, I've been afraid of looking at my lies, but from this point forward, that can change. And I ask to see what needs to be seen. So I can create the life of my dreams. Yes.
Yes. There has been a lie that I have held on to that has made me afraid to speak out in about these things, just being very personal and open with you guys.
Right.
And I'm continuously working on that. And what you're saying, Tina, is very helpful in that way, just to have the tools, because I don't think I'm alone. I
Oh,
hope not. In terms of stepping into my voice and expressing my thoughts and my authenticity, and especially when you have a lie that says, "Oh, you're too much," or "You're too deep," or "You're too this," da, 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 fill in the blank. So this is very personal to me. So I
yeah.
appreciate
Put in
you.
your journal, the
Mm,
simple statement, how can I be free of this lie?
mm,
How can I move beyond this lie? Your infinite self, the entire universe is waiting to support you because it can only move through you to the degree that you are opened. So
yes,
ask to be open.
yes. How can I? I love that.
If you don't know how to get to where you want to be, ask,
I
how do I
know.
get to where I want to
Exactly. Yes.
be?
Yeah. Absolutely. Trey Lottie, I see you. It's my BFF from high school is here. I haven't seen you in years. Tina's bringing everybody out. I'm bringing everybody out. We are doing this together, y'all. What I love about this is that this is a consciousness, a collective of elevation. So whether y'all know it or not, you're getting blessed being here, because we're having the type of conversations that I think we need to have to get to the trauma and the pain and the healing that has to happen, that we've been so afraid to talk about up until now, Tina. And that your book and the inner fitness is like, we talk about everything else in our culture except for this. You know what I mean? And this is what influences and impacts everything: our life, our quality of life, our well-being, our health, and the type of relationships that we have. What else is happening here? Clarissa said, definitely will journal that. Yes, amen. That was a tea drop for sure. Love that. Thank you, Tina. You are just, and y'all, it continues here. So make sure you go to Amazon, get her book. I'm going to throw up really quickly, Tina. You can just give us some final words. Wednesday tonight again, and then you also have this on Sunday. Let me move this so you guys can get the information to join Tina. Is there anything that you want to share with us before we start to close out
No,
and leave good people?
it actually has been a pleasure to see you. You know, we met years ago at Agape, and I watched you grow up, and it's a pleasure to see how the principles that are practiced in that community has flowered in you. I will just say this. If in fact you think about it, every single person present spends some portion of their day considering diet or exercise.
Yes.
Should I eat this? How many calories does it have? Should I go exercise today, or I don't have to exercise, and when this role starts to get a little bigger, I will. But we are making physical wellness choices every single day.
Yes.
There's no physical wellness choice that is going to help you to resolve the unresolved moments that have become stuck and lodged in your nervous system, your memory, and your sense of self. That requires a different level of work. And inner fitness it's our mission at the Inner Fitness Project to have inner fitness be as familiar, well understood, accessible, and actionable in our lives as physical fitness is.
Yes.
It's the new frontier. And if we're not on that journey, then we will just be caught recycling, the same old stuff. Up until now, we haven't had better information that allows us to take charge of our lives. But from this point forward, there is information coming from all directions.
Yes.
You can embrace it. And the Inner Fitness Project is committed to being a place where you can embrace it.
Wow. Thank you. Lauren, pass around the offering plate, please. I know. Well, thank you, Lauren, actually, because I want Wednesday, in keeping with your Wellness Wednesday, Tina, to be MediTEAtions, to be a place of transformational dialogue and healing and renewal for all of us, especially in the midst of the invitation. We are all being summoned, we're all being brought up to a higher level. And this has definitely been a wonderful, wonderful conversation to help facilitate that. So I appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much.
And we're going to sign off because I think we are past the hour mark. We appreciate you, Tina. Get the book. Join on Wednesday. Alexia said, I had no idea, Ms. Lifford, we're bringing all this to the table. Yes. I know. There's a lot, and we all are benefiting from it.
Follow me on social media at Tina Lifford, and go to my website, www.tinalifford.com.
Yeah, I have it here, right here, guys. So, okay, let me get out of here and see your face one last time. Hold on one second. There we are. Okay, everyone, have a great rest of your week. I will see you here next week, same time, same place. Bye, Tina.
Thank you, Caryn, so very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, everyone, and thanks to everyone watching the replay. I'll see you later. Bye.